Mr. Espada, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We're here with Herson Barreto, Wayne Barrett, and a couple of folks from Arizona and Maryland. But we have to ask you this. At this point, you took a big gamble, and the gamble could wind up bringing down the House of Cards in what's considered the most dysfunctional state legislature in the country with a very weak governor. Is it possible that you made too hasty a move and that this will bounce back and smack you and the others that went along with you in the face?
This has been long overdue. The dysfunctionality did not start yesterday or last year. It was there when the Republicans were in control. It's there now when Democrats were in control. And the reforms that were codified and put into motion Monday by having a bipartisan leadership of a Democrat from the Bronx, yours truly, and Dean Skelos, a Republican. But moreover, beyond titles and people, the actual reforms that really became part of defining a new day in the state Senate chambers, I think could be a model for state legislatures throughout the country.
Well, you know, Mr. Espada, Senator Espada, that a lot of people would not take your use of the word reform seriously with respect to those measures, that it's really just measures that equalizes the goodies and the spoils of having power.
I can appreciate the cynicism, but the proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be in the results. And today, I spoke to Governor Paterson. He is excited about the opportunities to bring same-sex marriage onto the floor, to bring bills onto the floor whose destinies have not been determined by 2 or 3 people in a locked room, and to really have that kind of opportunity, which seems basic, but for too long has not been part of the operation of the legislature, to really bring bills to the floor, vote them up, vote them down, but at least have democracy in those chambers be celebrated as a matter of routine.
Is there any likelihood, a real likelihood at this point, Senator Espada, that you will be joined by other Democrats, particularly, for example, some of the other Latinos in the state Senate?
Well, I answer that with a rhetorical question. Do we really think that Senator Duane would not show up for a discussion, a vote up or down on same-sex marriage? Do we not think that the champions of housing would not show up for a vote up or down on the vacancy decontrol? There are issues that have been espoused and advocated for many, many years, and I think it's just time to get back to work.
So what I'm talking about is additional people actually joining what you're calling this bipartisan coalition. Do you have people who are Democrats who are prepared to cross over and join your forces and, in effect, desert the forces representing Majority Leader, former Majority Leader Smith and the establishment in the party at the state Senate?
Over the last 2.5 days, I've been talking endlessly with Democrats, and last night had dinner with about 10 Democratic senators. And, you know, they're going to answer this question themselves, but I can assure you, in direct answer to your question, that yes, many more will be joining this effort.
Okay, we have a question for you from Wayne Barrett, who's here on the program. Wayne, go ahead.
Senator, you ran as a Democrat in a Democratic primary. Do you think you enter into a contract with voters when you run as a Democrat to go to Albany and be a Democrat? Is this in some way inconsistent with the way in which you presented yourself to the voters and the constituents in your district when you were elected to this seat?
Wayne, I overcame a barrage and an incredible assault on my character sponsored by the Democratic State Committee, over $250,000 spent on negative ads during a primary. They were defending the status quo and the incumbent that was there for over 20 years. I was described as a Republican, as a crook, and whether some people agree with that or not, the record is clear. Pedro Espada has never been convicted of any crimes, and Pedro Espada has never registered as a Republican. So I have overcome that attack. The issue now is people will get to find out what has driven this native son of Cuamo, Puerto Rico, through a life in the South Bronx onto the president pro tem of the state of New York, and what will we do with it? The results are, I think, that we will have one of the more progressive legislative bodies. But the other Democratic senators that took up the oath of office simply have to show up to work now. I am behaving as I have consistently behaved throughout my career, and that is as an independent.
Go ahead.
Senator, this is Gerson Borrero, and thanks for joining us. I ask you, in the conversation you had with Governor Paterson, is it from that conversation, can we assume then that he has already said that you are the person? In other words, the fight to bring the Democrats back to power, he's already seeded that fight in the courts. I know you got out of court today and you were victorious, but is that an indication that Governor Paterson has said you are the new leader in the Senate?
Well, I don't think we have to read the tea leaves, with all due respect, Hassan. He directly told me, I am calling you as the President Pro Tem, acknowledging the court decision this morning, and specifically said that he was calling me to share with me his decision that we have to continue beyond June 22nd, continue to legislate all the business before the state. I agreed with him wholeheartedly. He went on to congratulate me and felt that this was a transforming moment where we could bring a signature legislative piece, same-sex marriage, to the floor. He also said that he thought that perhaps this was an opportunity also to reflect that the United States Senate several years ago, when a Republican senator, Jeffords, turned independent and switched control in one singular vote from Republican control of the United States Senate to Democratic control. It didn't go to the courts. People continued to legislate, and he was a bit surprised that the matter ended up in court. He's a lawyer. He's a person that we would all agree is intelligent, and he wants to move forward because he knows the court has spoken, the legislative body has spoken, and now the circus is over. We must move on with the work and the business of the state.
Okay, that was State Senator Pedro Espada Jr., who is one of the key Latinos in this incredible turn of events in the legislature in Albany. Senator Espada, thank you very much for joining us live in this edition of Destination Casa Blanca.
Thank you very much.
Okay.